All right, we're going to do our first video on solving two-step equations. We're going to break this down into steps. What is our first step? The first thing I want to just say about this is really important. We need to know how to solve two-step equations because every equation that we solve eventually becomes a two-step equation. So we need to know how to take it all the way home by solving an equation like these down here. So we're going to break this into our two steps. Our first step, there's a few things we need to think about. Okay, so the first thing we need to think about is we're going to ask ourselves, is there a plus or minus, space, minus, near the x? So it needs to be near the x. And by that, I mean on the same side. So by near the x, I mean on the same side. Okay? And then if there is, the question is, how do I make what is being added or subtracted a 0? Okay, so let's go ahead and apply this. We're just looking at this first step. So we have 2x plus 3 equals 11. Is there a plus or minus near the x? Well, on the same side, I see that there's an x right here. Okay, and there is a plus. So yes, there is. How do I make what's being added or subtracted a 0? Well, what's being added or subtracted is the 3. Okay, how do I make that a 0? Well, 3 minus 3 will be a 0. We need to do that to both sides. So that's your first step. Let's see, we can finish it up. 3 minus 3 is 0, and that's why it cancels out, because that's 0, right? Well, we don't need to write that, but we just know that that's 0. 11 minus 3, 11, 10, 9, 8. So we know that that's 8. So we have 8 equals, and what's left here is 2x. Okay. How about this one? Is there a plus or minus near the x? Well, I see the x over here, and I see a minus. Perfect. How do I make what is being added or subtracted a 0? Well, you're subtracting 5. A minus 5, it's a negative 5, right? How do you make that a 0? Well, now you're going to have to add 5. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0. That's what you want. So that's why it cancels out, because it's 0. Now, if you do that to one side, you need to do it to both sides. We added 5 to that side. We have to add 5 to this side. Okay, those cancel out. You are left with x equals 15. Now, this one's a little bit trickier, but let's see. It's the same idea. Is there a plus or minus near the x? Now, first thing you'll notice is that there's no x. So most of the time you see it as an x, but sometimes it's a different letter. In this case, we're talking about r, and that's okay. So it's the same thing, but we're just replacing x with r. Okay, is there a plus or minus? Well, yes, there's a minus r right here. Or it's 5 minus r. Now, we have to think, how do I make what is being added or subtracted a 0? This is a positive 5. So we need to subtract 5 to make that a 0, because that's a positive 5. Even though there's that minus here, that's positive. So 5 minus 5 is 0. That's what you want. Okay, so if we do that to one side, we need to do it to both sides. Okay, 5 minus 5 does cancel out. We didn't do anything with that negative, so that negative comes down. We still have equals. 6 minus 5 is 1. Okay, so there is our first step.